good enough, yeah. It's 5:45. We'll convene the workshop session. We do have a quorum present. Ready, you'll start this.
So Mayor, we had a request from Councilman Ferguson to look at the issue of LED lights in the city. This is a report to tell you basically how that's dealt with under our ordinance, limitations related to our own ordinances, how it's handled in other cities, and different options you might have. Cleve Joyner is prepared to do a presentation for you tonight. So the purpose of tonight is just to provide basic information and to get direction from you if you would like to take additional steps.
If I can't, Councilman Ferguson, do you have anything to say before we start this? Any background or anything?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
I first actually observed, I guess I'd call it an outbreak of this type of lighting in another city, and then in a couple of other cities before I noticed it here. And by the time I noticed it here, I think initially I thought you only had spotted 2 or 3, and then I just kept finding more and more of them. And in 2011, we passed a rather comprehensive sign ordinance in order to improve the look of our retail areas. Got rid of feather signs, I can't remember if we got rid of or put severe limitations on sandwich board signs. I think it's the distance from blocking sidewalk and so forth. We got rid of, flailing man, the hair blown guy. So we did quite a few things to improve, like I say, the look of retail areas. This item began to really concern me because most often during the daytime, of course, it's not particularly noticeable, but most often these are on all night, every night. Businesses are closed, so I'm not sure what purpose they serve. Arguments that somebody might make for saying, well, they should be allowed, could include they need this to bring business, draw customers to their business. I haven't found any evidence that the changes we made in the sign ordinance caused any economic negative impact to any business. So I would make the same comment on this. As far as the thought that, well, they're energy efficient, they're not energy efficient if there wasn't something there already consuming electricity, which is every instance I've looked at, that they're not replacing lighting with a lower energy option, especially in windows, that they're simply being added. So we're not saving energy, we're just burning more, adding more lighting. As far as, again, going back to possibly hurting another business, you have to consider this. It creates a hey, look at me, which is meant to draw your attention away from other businesses. So for whatever it might add to one, it's taking away from another. So I saw no benefit to it. I did see an issue with it. It happened at one point that I was talking with a councilman in Carrollton, and he commented that they were working to have this kind of stuff removed. And indeed, they did go forward with that. And it was at that point that I talked to the city manager and asked her to look at the Carrollton ordinance and see what they have done and look at the rationale and so forth. So I think that kind of sums it up.
Good. Well, if you're ready.
With that, I'll turn it over to Cleve.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman Ferguson.
I guess this is my opportunity to tell everybody that I'm doing a presentation that's very enlightening. I was Okay, so what we're talking about primarily is what you're seeing here is the lighting that's outlining windows. And as I go through this, some of the things I'll explain to you are that we're treating them as signage. There's specific reasons for that, and that seems to be fairly consistent with all the other cities. Here's some more examples. All of these are in Louisville. Here's some other uses. This is Old Town in the upper left. That's not Old Town in the far right. That's a town out of Ohio. But also there's restaurant lighting that you see throughout, restaurant outdoor seating, and then also lighting that you may have around trees, mostly the holiday seasons, but it's pretty much, in some of these locations, it's all the time. And we actually have a tree in Old Town in that upper left that's outlined. So our current ordinance in regards to signage on the section 11, which is our sign ordinance, talks about shielding of illuminating source, anything with intense glare or that may affect somebody while they're driving or on the street. I'm not going to read the whole thing to you, but that's basically in essence what it says. And then the bottom part is section 9 out of nuisances, and that chapter is in regards to lighting that has intense glare. And specifically what it talks to is 0.4 candle power at the property line, which when we've measured these lights, we don't get that intensity. And to give you an idea, a street light is 0.5. So we pulled the cities, our survey cities, and Dallas allows them, but they have to be clear only. They can be flashing. They don't seem to worry about that. Carrollton is, they allow the horizontal outline of the buildings only, no flashing and no other uses. Frisco, Garland, Grand Prairie don't address it. And the rest of the cities all have that same language or similar to what we have on the intense glare and the candle foot power at the property line. So if you recall, the last time we last time we changed the sign ordinance was in regards to variable message electronic reader boards, where there's no scrolling, no flashing, 7 seconds on your message, 4 seconds on your time, temperature, and date. And the reason I point this out is that if we don't treat those lights like signage, we have nothing that restricts their use as far as flashing and scrolling, which is how they first started out here in the city. We were able to stop that. This is our inventory. This inventory is about, I want to say it's probably the end of April. All of these are the shops that have those window lights. I did our research today, and none of those are owner occupied. They're all lease spaces. So options. Option 1 is the Carrollton language. This is it verbatim. They're prohibited in windows, prohibited on multi-tenant buildings and individual occupancies. In essence, what they're saying is all you can do is outline the horizontal roof line of the building. And they also made theirs retroactive and forced compliance in 90 days. Option 2, allow the continued use. Option 3, prohibit them altogether. Option 4, make adjustments to option 1 that better fit us if that's what we decide to do, restaurant lighting, around trees, etc. And then, so that's the options. So I wanted to talk briefly about where the future is going with lighting in general. You hear a lot about different things, and this kind of goes into the green code and also addresses light pollution. There's an organization called the International Dark Sky Association. Basically, they're fighting against nighttime light pollution. They have some guidelines. Their hypothesis is that it affects all kinds of life, and including people. It has some, it's shortening up our night times and causing some issues there. And then there's in Texas, there's Dripping Springs, Texas. They wrote an ordinance in regards to night lighting. And then a lot of your national forests, and Big Bend is one of them. There is a different grading criteria with this organization, and that's for night sky, for observing the stars and the planets and all that, and knowing if we're going to be invaded sooner than everyone else. And this here is from the first part. Sorry, I didn't label it. That's from the Department of Energy, and they're heavily involved in talking about light pollution and also the use for over illuminating. And in their research, they've determined that in the United States alone, the equivalent of 2 million barrels of oil and energy is wasted on nighttime lighting and lighting that's not necessary. And then
Per day.
Per day. And then also gauging us against other countries, the United States, and it's more light time at night than 3 to 5 times more than most German cities. Wanted to point out that the International Green Construction Code, the National Building Standards, and the leadership in energy development and design, they lead, which we hear. Remember, I've talked to council about how 2015 edition came out of the International Green Code, but now all these organizations have combined and they're working on a 2018 code. The International Green Construction Code, the energy conservation area requires that all lighting when a facility closes is not less than 30%, or is you shut off not less than 30%. And also it requires external lighting, signage, landscape, everything to be shut off from midnight to 6 a.m. And that's some of the criteria that IDA has for like Dripping Springs, Texas. It's written in their ordinance where everything is off at 11 p.m. There's one exception for a ball field that stays open longer than 11 at night, but and a few other exceptions. And then also the interior lighting be reduced by 45%. And again, National Green Standards and LEED, they give points for evaluating your building for the amount of energy that you quit using, or specifically lighting that you don't use. And that's it, short and sweet.
So one quick additional comment from me, looking at the different options, because I think this is an obvious question, you're going to want to know what I think. I prefer the modified one, which allows for for example, decorative lighting and outdoor eating areas and similar, sort of.
Like the plaza.
Yeah, I mean, like Square One Cafe, I mean, their patio wouldn't be the same with the the outdoor lighting. There's no way I could ever support it.
I'm good with that. That's what I'm saying, is I'm perfectly good with that. My concern really focuses, the number one item really is LED lighting that's taking over every window in an establishment, or that's maybe spreading into, the guy next door goes, well, now they don't see me, so I guess I have to do that too. So I can get seen again. And so it's, I brought this up early, as Donna knows, because I didn't want it to become an epidemic.
Clay, you might touch on the fact too, when Carrollton put this in place, when they passed the ordinance, they made it retroactive.
Yes.
You might talk about.
Yeah, when I talked to their code enforcement folks, they said that once it was passed, they immediately went out and started giving notice to all of them, and that they had compliance 100% within 90 days.
So people that already had it in place within 90 days, they had to remove the
Correct.
lights that
Correct.
they had purchased. So that's another decision point if you want to move forward on something like this.
Which I also favor.
Can I ask the chief a quick question? Yeah, no, the other chief, PD. Have you or have any of the officers mentioned difficulty seeing into these buildings at night, or?
Nobody that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Typically as a crime prevention method, we ask for business owners to leave a light on inside the business so we can't see in.
Yeah,
But at the end of the day, we've got spotlights. If we can see inside, we're gonna see inside.
gotcha. I just, when you look at, you can see it even in the pictures, you've got, there you go, that one right there. No, sorry, back one. I can see into the GameStop. I can't see into that Acer, whatever. The lighting just completely blacks out those windows.
Now, I got a question though, in this case, when we were talking about outlining the, say on the far left side, the Metro PCS,
Go to the arch.
yeah, the arch would still be okay, but the bottom windows would not be?
The arch is not outlining the rooftop of the building.
Yeah, let's see if I can. Yeah, most of it's all below the roof line. You can see it's just a straight roof line. It's just that that particular frontage has an arch on it. There's also an arch on the other side. It's one of the architectural features. So if you went with the horizontal roof line like they do in Carrollton, you'd have to stay along that top edge.
So the arch would not be.
The arch would not be. And then also, in regards to the window signage and being able to see in, I've had discussions with Chief Kerbo that we don't have a limit on window signage coverage in the city. Now, we do in Old Town at 35% of the window space, and we've discussed on.
So they
getting that
could
up.
cover the windows 100%, except for an Old Town. Okay.
Which it looks like Metro.
They've
has.
tried real hard, yes.
And then you've got the Klingon stickies that people are using now at the the empty space next to the Starbucks on Fox. That's all done with those colored clingies right now. I mean, it's all glass, but you can't see in because
Can't
it's
see
all, I mean, and I like it for what it's doing because it's an empty space otherwise.
Yeah, sometimes it was a lot
Sometimes
harder.
there's an advantage there.
So then with signage, if they had, for instance, a poster in their window or something that's displayed in their window, they could have spotlights on it, but they can't have an LED around the window.
Well, they can now.
Well, I mean,
If you were to pass a similar ordinance, that is correct.
but you could have a spotlight illuminating
Would you-
the sign.
You could.
Is that inside the building you're talking about?
So if you had a display window like a department store that had lights inside, I think that would be.
You're also,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you're also saying the light is shining into the building, not from the building, correct?
Yeah, but I mean, I'm trying to think, I mean,
And it's very different to have light shining out from the building than it is to have light shining into.
What if I took those and set them back a foot, please, inside the building? Did the exact same treatment, just set them back a foot.
They would, I don't know if they'd still be intense, but I don't know if they'd be less intense. But again, they're still allowed, so if you restricted them, it'd be up to you how you want to.
How you want to restrict it. And Carrollton's very specific, that it's outlining the building. It's basically an aesthetic issue.
So even if it outlined from a foot interior of the building in Carrollton's ordinance, it would not.
I don't think that's right, Lee.
If it,
Outline individual windows. His question is if it's, the lighting is on the inside and not the
Now, what if I took that that LED, instead of putting it on the outside of the building like it is now, obviously it's shining straight out. What if I took it and put it inside the building? Let's put it a foot inside. There's a glass panel and we got this square box of lighting. I've decided I'm gonna be obstinate and put it a foot back. Do I have control over that? What's intense?
yeah, I always run across people daily who try to circumvent our rules.
Right.
So that's a challenge.
I might be one of them.
I think the
think you are.
intent of the Carrollton ordinance is to prohibit the outside outline of the window, correct?
Right.
Not the internal lighting within the building.
I think more than, and as a business owner myself, I don't want to have to read 20 pages of trying to figure out what I can do and what I can't do. I mean, this has got to be something simple and not too cumbersome.
Well, and somebody will always figure out some way to circumvent a rule if they can, if they're inclined to. So you can write complex ordinances and people will just find another way to filter through that.
So we're definitely not doing anything with outdoor sconces or any, I mean, just window LED lighting.
Or internally lit signs or shaded illumination.
And that's all covered in the sign ordinance. You can't have, if you have an actual sign and you're lighting the sign, you can't have an intense glare from those signs. It has to be backlit, we have that specific language, or it has to be spotlighted indirectly away from the street side.
But again, it's really how you want the ordinance written.
Right, I mean, because for me, I mean, and the same thing with a continuous string or series of lights, I understand, but, I mean, nobody has incandescent hardly anymore, everything is LED, even your bulbs, so this can't be something that, you know,
Oh, lights won't even be lights here in a few years. They'll just be strips, they'll be little stickers.
thank
I
you,
mean, the
DJ.
technology's amazing.
That it? If anybody did guess, I'm opposed to all this, so.
Yeah, the question would be direction. So we've given you options. Is there a desire for staff to further develop one of these options?
I'd support exploring that. I grew up in Tucson, spent a lot of time in Tucson. They're one of the premier dark skies because of Kitt Peak and the National Observatory that's there.
We're not
It's
talking about
wonderful.
dark sky now, are we?
No, we're not.
No.
We're not going that far. But I grew up in a low light environment and it's wonderful.
Because I guarantee if we went around cutting lights off for people.
Oh, yeah.
It would go nuts.
Yeah, people go
But
nuts.
that's not,
But that's not what I'm talking, I'm just
That's
giving you
not
my
what I asked
background. Yeah.
Just to back, you know, what
Yeah.
people want in lights and the statistic about how many
My
millions
background
of
though is
gallons
from a low
a day.
light world, and it's beautiful, it's a
Yeah.
wonderful thing, and
Yeah.
this is very distracting.
We
It's-
want to make sure the criminals can see when they're out doing stuff.
Yeah, well, there's that. You know, it cuts both ways, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So the question would be, is the Carrollton ordinance something that would serve as a basis for us to bring back? Or Councilman Ferguson mentioned perhaps just outlining windows and then patios, were those your two major issues?
no, well, I like the 1A option. I
Can I go back to 1A? Please.
How many options were there?
Five.
Four, I think, about five.
Okay.
1 through
Okay,
4
option
and
one was-
1A.
Option one was Carrollton. Option two, allow the continued use.
No
Option
change.
Option
Change.
three, prohibit them altogether. And then option four would be make adjustments to option one.
And I like option 4.
And what adjustments, Neil, do you think?
Like you see on option 4.
Outdoor seating areas.
So you like option 4?
Yes, I like option 4. I don't see going, I don't know why Carrollton, by their ordinance, took in outdoor seating area. That's not the issue. The issue is storefronts that are blazing into the night vision, especially after hours, when they're not even open.
Cleve, could you go to option 1, please?
So if we could just go A through D, I think this may be where you're going, council member. So we talked about the allowing them on patio, the patios.
Mm-hmm.
So are we wanting to prohibit outlining individual windows?
Yes.
What about the building outlines?
You talking about B? Well, B, Cleve, you want to, either you or me, you want to explain B, what B really means?
B, what that means is that if you have a multi-tenant building or you have a retail strip center, that you just can't outline your building. It's kind of like what we did in Old Town, it's all or none. You do the whole street, all those buildings, now they're, you could technically say they're not connected, but it's in regards to a strip center or a multi.
So this would be the roof line.
But you couldn't just do 10 feet of roof line. You'd have to do the whole building.
Okay, so who's going to, come Christmas time, when I have windows outlined in my business or whatever with red and green LEDs, who's gonna come tell me I can't do that?
We do have language in regards to holiday lighting.
Different ordinance,
So that would be an exception.
That would be an
Would
exception.
be an exception.
different ordinance.
What kind of time frame is on that ordinance?
It's open, it just says during the holiday season, as a policy, February 1st is when we started enforcing taking Christmas lights.
So
you
somebody-
look at
So, I mean,
Halloween through January?
Correct.
Still don't like it, I want to get the phone.
Those are the Christian holidays.
Well,
Until you start picking on all the
There's
other
a couple
ones.
of pagans in there.
Definitely a couple of days.
but then you got Easter, and
Yeah,
then you
of
got
course.
going throughout the year, 4th of July, you got your red, white, and blue. LED streaming.
Okay. What do y'all need to continue?
Well, I'd like to know direction on what type of ordinance to bring back. It's really, what would you like included?
I think we've got at least two people that were looking at the fourth one,
Modified.
Leroy and.
Yes.
Is that a modified, Leroy, is it a yes to which?
4,
4. Okay.
with modifications.
With everything included in the Carrollton ordinance, but we would allow it on patios.
Is that enough direction?
Retroactive.
Do we want any consideration in regards to 2 hours after business closes?
That's another interest I have, yes. So I don't remember what exactly Carrollton had in theirs, but I'd like to see something in regards to the hours that the lights are shining after they're closed, after business is closed.
Yeah, most of that is from the International Green Construction Code, their guidelines and IDA. Most of them are like either 2 hours after the business closes, or if it's a 24-hour facility, they have to shut down a certain amount of light intake.
Okay, I'd like to see something at least considered in the ordinance if you're considering drafting.
So Carrollton doesn't do any of that. None of the survey cities at this point include any of those types.
So we're now
But if
asking
they're,
businesses to put timers on their lights, or, I mean, I think we're adding an additional burden to businesses that I wouldn't support.
Get some pushback
Well,
on that.
That's okay, because I think when you go to, what was the figure you used? 2 million gallons a day.
2 billion.
I think,
Barrels,
in
2 million barrels.
barrels, I think in an empty business, to lower the consumption
Could you,
of energy is not really a waste of time, in my opinion.
okay, now the 2 million barrels a day of oil, is that all lighting?
That's an equivalent to all the lighting that the US uses. a
Okay.
day per day.
Street lights, traffic lights, decorative lights? I think that's what that
They
is.
address it to over illumination. So I think, I can check
Great,
into the
but, I
statistics.
mean, traffic lights, or, street lights are probably the, you know,
I'd
the
be curious.
neighborhood watch lights
Yeah,
are the biggest one of those.
I think it's over illumination. I can find out what statistics they use to get,
I
to
think,
determine
you
what.
know, if we're talking about that, the only way you can do it is start cutting out security lighting.
No, it's not.
But that's, if that group is not they're trying to get less light pollution, right?
That's IDA, yes.
Yes, but that could be all lighting. And most of that doesn't come from LED lights around a window,
Right,
which is all we're really focusing on here.
Yes.
right.
And that doesn't have the 2 million barrels a day could be saved by turning off all outdoor lights? Probably. I don't know, why it wouldn't be more.
One recommendation I would make is to take this a step at a time, and we are gonna be bringing back green code considerations to you. So you might wanna just deal with the aesthetic LED issue at this point, and let us look at the green code, in, the whole scope of the green code and its various impacts, and let us bring that back to you at a later time.
Well, I would like to see it all considered at one time. And if the council decides that they don't want to deal with whatever recommendation or any certain path that they don't want to follow, I would just assume we get that out of the way now instead of we're going to deal with lights around the window now, and at some future point, we're going to deal with energy. I see it as one issue, and I'd like to see if it's possible to bring it to the table, and we may end up doing nothing on any of it.
So the recommendation today would be nothing?
I'm not making a recommendation.
But your recommendation is nothing right now.
My
You said it's all or
recommendation-
nothing.
My recommendation is not to separate it into two separate issues.
Right. But
Energy and 2 million barrels a
Okay.
day or
But the
whatever.
proposal today
And windows.
was LED lighting around windows. That's all that was being brought up today. That was all that was on the workshop.
And I'm saying it shouldn't be the only thing on the workshop.
Okay, so you have no recommendation to make right now on what?
My recommendation, if you're asking for a recommendation, my recommendation is that it all be considered as one item.
Okay, so, but
That-
what we
that's my
have today,
recommendation.
what we have today, that would be no recommendation on the lighting now. You'd say no to this, because you want to bring up more
Call it
stuff.
what you will.
Well, I think that's the only thing there is, because what we had that was published was discussion of rope lighting. That's what the topic is today, not about everything else.
Councilman,
Well, the rope lighting doesn't include those strings of lights over patios, or is that rope lighting too?
I think they said it was, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, all right, well then if it is, then it absolutely has to be included under energy considerations, in my opinion.
But they were recommending that the patios be excluded, isn't that correct?
Yes.
I agree with that. I agree with excluding
Okay.
those.
But again, I'm just trying to get it back to what the topic is today
Is.
on the rope lighting discussion. And that's what we had presented, all the other stuff, and the other deal about the 2 million barrels was superfluous to the discussion today, anyway.
Well, it's not by one of the options would you put the options back up there, please?
I guess the point might be that if you're gonna allow lighting on a patio,
Mhm.
then perhaps you would only allow it for certain hours, that it, once the.
That's where I heard this
I
all
mean,
started.
That's,
What about
that's
if
certainly
it's
con-
cloudy or rains? My patio lights come on if it's cloudy, it doesn't matter the time.
But if it's after business
You're one
hours,
of those that sprinkles when it rains too, aren't you?
Yeah, you would set it around business hours, so many hours after business hours. But
So-
you're right, that's another requirement on the business owner,
Yeah.
on their time.
What I heard Councilman Vaughn saying originally, maybe I'm wrong, was that he would like to explore one of these options, not sure which one, but that he'd also like to add a discussion of timing elements. Is that,
Yes, I think that's what, I mean, that's what I said, yes.
What I
Yes,
heard
don't-
was
I
all or
don't wanna-
nothing.
I don't want us just, I don't want to discuss the lights now and the energy later.
Okay, but the topic today wasn't about energy consumption. It was about rope lighting.
but he
Is
wanted
that
to, he
correct?
wanted to
that is
add
correct.
I know
a
that,
discussion
bring it
piece
up
on
to,
timing.
for the city manager, bring it up at some other discussion. But today, it's about rope lighting. That's all that the public was notified of.
That
See,
is
that's not
correct.
how I'm hearing what Mr. Vaughn is saying. What I'm hearing him saying is, go pursue a couple, whichever one of these options. One of the things I'd like you to pursue also is a timing recommendation.
That's fine, but do we have direction today on what was presented to the public for rope lighting? That's where we're at today, and that's what staff has said. That's what we have to come up with today.
Sure.
And we could say nothing, and just say, bring something else back
And I-
about conservation and everything else.
So I heard it differently from you. What I heard was that you did not want this ordinance to come back until it could incorporate the energy saving, greater scope of energy saving that we had discussed, the green initiative, quote unquote, that we had discussed
I
previously.
would like for us to consider the guidelines that the green initiative may outline as ways that we should consider while we're doing the lights themselves.
Okay,
Because that's-
but specific to just this particular item, this particular type of lighting, is that, or is it the whole scope?
No, not the whole scope.
Okay, I
Not the
heard the whole
traffic,
scope.
not the traffic lights, not the
No, I'm not,
whatever else that was thrown out in the conversation. Let's just limit it to the lights that we're talking about dealing with here.
okay. Because I don't really want to postpone doing something about this, and the city manager knows exactly why. We've gone from the moment at which I first asked to look at this, from now, my guess is it's 10 times as many places have it, and in 6 more months, it will be 10 times that. So,
Well, at this point, Mayor, can we ask for a vote or whatever?
No,
What's the
no.
proper procedure for?
You're looking for direction.
Well, that's what I'm saying, so.
But we can't do a vote.
If 3 decide that they don't want to take it in the direction that I'm going, then that would end it, wouldn't it, basically?
Can't take a vote.
Can't do that.
And again, the topic was rope lighting. That was what was put on the agenda for tonight.
Again, I would suggest that we bring back a recommendation related to rope lighting per option number 4, and then when we consider green code, to consider the type of options that we're talking about as far as only operational during business hours and such, and really look at these as 2 separate items. You start, picking the green code. I think Cleve's point was, this lighting, additional lighting does have an impact on energy efficiency and utilization. But at this point, I think if we could just narrow the scope of the discussion to just the rope lighting, that would be preferable, and not look at the green code one piece at a time.
and I guess the one thing I'd add to that too is to go back to the opening comment I made. This was, to me, an extension off of what we did 2011 with signage. So the emphasis from me was never the energy savings, although I'm not opposed to that. But the emphasis was on what we had done in 2011 to improve our streetscape and what we might additionally need to do, because an element of signage, effectively signage, has come on board since then that we didn't include in that ordinance because it wasn't seen. That's my
There was one
perspective.
part in there also about, of course, patios, which we said, I don't think anybody wants, but auxiliary structures or whatever. I mean, like this is with Old Town, with the lights being around the tree. I love that look. I think it really makes,
I think
I
that-
hope that would not be part of the,
Agreed.
That was, I think that was also, at least in the discussion that Cleve and I had, that was part of what would fall in option 4, is to allow things like that.
So, is anybody object to going, at least right now, option 4, which includes adjustments to option 1? So it's basically 1 and 4 are together some way or another. That would give enough direction?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's just, not taking a poll or not voting on anything. Okay.
We'll bring that back in a future work, meeting.
Okay. Anything else on that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we're ready to go into the next item?
That's all we had until your review of the
Okay.
agenda.
So, and we don't have to wait till 6:30, we can continue right now if that's y'all's pleasure. Go, TJ.
Are you taking a vote?
No, I'm just trying to get knowledge. Let's go ahead and, let's go down the consent agenda, item 1. Anything? Item 2.
This is your remaining 2003 GO bond monies. It includes 8 streets in Old Town. This is basically the design of those streets. This would be going from asphalt to concrete.
Any questions on that? Nothing, okay. Item 3. John, have they said, or someone on this, have they said what the timetable on completion of
Check.
construction on this?
We haven't heard the exact timetable, but it's gonna be at least 2 years
Okay.
for completion of all of 544, fifth and 544. They are starting on the section east of Indian Creek, which is mostly Carrollton. So there's still some right-of-way acquisition going on our section of town, which would be on the western corridor of it. And they are starting a condemnation process on those parcels.
At
Okay.
least 2 years.
It's gonna be at least 2 years, would be a construction.
Okay. And they're planning to do from Sam Rayburn, how far east?
It goes all the way to the railroad tracks in the Carrollton, Plano border.
Okay, so the second railroad crossing there,
Yeah,
first one is not an at-grade crossing. Okay,
yes.
good.
Correct.
We have a lot of development going on out there, but so does Plano and Carrollton and the Colony. And I think if it continues, we're gonna have more out there. Okay. Item number 4.
Matitos Economic Development Agreement. So June 17th, the building permit was issued, and with the approval of this ED agreement, construction should begin. It's $125,000 potential reimbursement over 5 years.
Okay.
was this, I mean, was this they wouldn't have come if we wouldn't have done this, or is this?
It's always a question with an economic development agreement. But yes, they lobbied for this and said it was very important. Would they not have come? I can't really answer the question.
And the council has looked at this in closed session.
That is correct.
Okay, before
Yes,
my
sir.
time.
That
It's
is
been going for a while.
Okay.
And I think it was encouraging to see that they were taking on an old building that had sat vacant for a long time. and a-
Especially during
and a very-
construction.
You know what's
Especially
going
during
in?
construction.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
That was part of the thought process anyway, especially during construction of 35E.
yeah.
So, okay. Item 5,
JAG grant is a grant that we get annually. 14,502 would be coming to the city, 10,400 would be used to build barriers that would block the view of accidents during accident scenes.
Yeah, they're actually products that are out there where they're mobile, so you can put them together on the fly.
okay,
She's point on that was interesting with all the phones, everybody have their phones and their cameras. There's more need to block views now than there used to be.
There's some cases where we need to afford privacy to families. This helps us do that while not contaminating the crime scene.
Somewhat sad to have to do that, but we do. And then the rest of it would be used for leadership training.
okay. Item 6, Councilman Vaughn, this leads with your approval on this. This is the one that you talked to after the last meeting, I believe.
Oh, yeah,
isn't it?
yes, sir,
Okay.
yes, that's
Okay,
fine.
this is what you were intending to do here.
Yeah, the
Okay.
city manager told me that we had to bring it before the council
Okay.
and ratify it.
Sounds good?
Good job calling and through with that.
Yeah, okay. Item 7,
So we have 2 items tonight on your agenda related to discussion that started back in April related to the burnt track. Eric is bringing up a map just to refresh your memory on the location of this area. Eric, you want to?
Hebron Parkway is here, Holzer Road to the north, and this is the south boundary of Castle Hills. We talked about the 33.094 acres of the burnt tract here. There's really 2 things going on tonight on your agenda, and I kind of draw a line between them because it makes it more simple to understand it. So the annexation part of it is a resolution that's really speaking to the annexation of the .418 acres associated with a new 5-foot strip or a lasso that will come around the burnt tract to incorporate that into Castle Hills District or to extend PID 7 to it. So that's one side of the coin, is a resolution for the future annexation. I point out to the north, the green dotted line is the existing 5-foot strip that goes across. We'll be dealing with that later on in August on a de-annexation of that strip. There's no public hearings required, so we're not dealing with that tonight. On the other side, what we're looking at tonight is to extend PID 7 over to the golf course to make it contiguous. So you have a 5-foot strip or the .186 acres tied to the extension of the PID. So it'll run from the northwest corner of the burnt tract coming west. We'll turn up here. This is the blue line. The green line, I believe, is the existing 5-foot City of Louisville strip. So the blue line, the .186, will get you over to PID 7. It'll actually lay on top of PID 2, but that's okay in the alignment. So that's the second part of it, is the resolution setting forth that PID extension. So that's what's going on with this. And of course, the existing City of Louisville green line, once this is all said and done, Louisville 5-foot strip will come in this alignment, same alignment, will come down south, come east along Hebron, back up to the north, and it will carry on and go on east just like it was. So it'll be an adjustment that'll be coming to y'all. We'll finish August 17th.
So item 7 is basically calling for a public hearing for July 20th for that, 2 public hearings as required by statute that would bring that yellow strip, as Eric pointed out, into the city limits. And then item 8 really deals with your public improvement district, and so it's calling for a second public hearing, another public hearing, the 3rd, if I go back to the fact that 2 is required for the annexation. But for the PID, 1 hearing is required, and it would be held on the 17th of August. Once that hearing is held, then if council so chooses, then that property would become part of PID 7, which is Denton County Freshwater Supply District 1C, or the golf course.
Refresh my memory on this one. Castle Hills has agreed not to expand the available debt.
That's correct, that's correct. Their authorization has already been established, and this would be using existing authorization. And I believe, Drew, we've got, how much left? under the
It was
authorization?
7.5 or 7.6, we got 4.8 million
Yeah,
left
and so that would be just utilizing that remaining amount. That is correct.
for District 1C, PID 7.
That's correct.
And that's the reason that we're going from the 33 acres to the golf course, so that no additional funding is needed, is that? I mean,
It- It's being able to utilize the authorization approved by the voters for District 1C or PID 7 for infrastructure development for the burn terminal. So the answer to your question is yes.
Okay. Any other questions?
gerrymandering.
This is what it ends up being.
Carrollton might think so.
Yeah.
This was an agreement made years ago.
Years
with
ago,
Carrollton.
and you actually see that type of
The asphalt banana.
connection throughout Castle Hills.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Okay.
Thought we were gonna have a little war down there at one time. And we were
Yes.
gonna be on the sidelines, but,
Like banana episode.
yeah. Any other questions on that? 7 or 8? Okay, and that's it. Anybody have any reports to say back here or anything?
I just would remind everyone that you have somewhat of a light meeting tonight, but you are on the 20th, and if you'll remember, we're gonna start early. So your workshop will start at 3 o'clock. So
This
I'll-
room?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Fun time. Okay.
Late afternoon.
We'll reconvene at 7 o'clock in open session.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
It's 7 o'clock. We'll call the meeting to order. First item is invocation by Councilman Daniels. It's followed by the pledge to the American and Texas flags by Mayor Pro Tem Ferguson.
Please stand and let's join together for a moment of silent prayer. Amen.
Please join me in the pledges to the American and Texas flags. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you.
Next item is the Visitor Citizens Forum. At this time, Any person with business before the council not scheduled on the agenda may speak to the council. No formal action can be taken on any of these items at this meeting. And I don't have anyone wishing to speak tonight. Okay. Next item, item D, consent agenda. All of the following items on the consent agenda are considered to be self-explanatory by the council and will be enacted with one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member or citizen so requests. For a citizen to request removal of an item, a speaker card must be filled out and submitted to the city secretary. Councilman Ferguson.
Yes, move to approve the consent agenda.
Okay. We have a motion to approve and a second by Councilman Vaughn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Next item is reports. Mika, start with you.
Produced an infographics on Louisville. Basically, it's our demographic information in graphic format. So it's a lot easier to read, and we use it for promotion and recruitment on the economic development side. We've also this year placed an ad in the Texas Wide Open for Business, which is a publication of the governor's office. We've tabbed the Louisville ad in there, and this is a publication that basically travels with the governor when he goes on recruitment trips abroad and also to other states in the nation. So we just wanted to for you to have that information on the marketing side for the city, for the budget that you provided for us last year. If you have any questions on any of this, please let me know. This is Ms. Barron's copy I'm borrowing, but you have, in your boxes, you have both publications.
On the first item you mentioned, if the public wanted to get a copy of that, how would they do that?
Yes, it's available. We have it both in digital and print format if anyone is interested.
On the website, could they go to it?
Not
or-
on the website, but we can speak with Mr. Conkey to see if we can have it available
Okay.
on the website.
Thank you. Oh, nothing? Nothing? Okay. Well, Melinda, thanks for taking our guest around to look at the building. So, hope you all enjoyed that. Okay, Chief? Lake?
Well, we're still going over the spillway, do have .87, not much, so that'll be going down quickly. Fortunately, everything's dried out. All of our roads are open and everything. We're trying to get caught up on our mowing. We've gotten a few complaints on that, but we're about to get back to normal.
Thank you. Gina, nothing? Ms. Martin? Eric?
Yes, sir, Mayor and Council, just let you know of what's going on this week with I-35, starting tonight through Saturday, from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. AGL will shut down the exit ramps on the northbound side to FM 407. They're going to be doing some restriping, setting some concrete traffic barriers, shifting traffic. There will be law enforcement on site to assist with that. Motorists wishing to go west on 407 will have to take the Valley Ridge exit and go northbound on the service road down to 407, or down to that area if they're wanting to go that way. So just want to let you know that.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Councilman Daniels?
Yes, Mayor, if you're wanting to find out how to get rid of those wicked plants in your yard, Keep Louisville Beautiful on July 14th at the Louisville Annex is having a garden secrets class from 6 to 7:30. So we can all make Louisville a little more beautiful with getting rid of our weeds.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Gilmore?
Thanks, Mayor. The city has a new resident survey that is up online at cityoflouisville.com. It's in the front center. The icon has a little red X next to it, and it says residents seeking resident input through our survey. This survey is going to be giving direction for our staff and activities to make sure that what we're doing is fulfilling the needs of residents and their goals. So it's going to give you an opportunity to say what's great, what's not so great, what would you like to see added. So we'd appreciate it. We had 1,200 responses last year on the 2014 survey. Let's see if we can break that number. But it gives our staff and of course your council as well great direction on where we'd like to see the city go. So thank you for taking the time. It maybe takes about 8 minutes. Thanks.
Okay.
That's all.
City Manager?
No, sir.
Yes, Mayor?
Go ahead, Councilman Ferguson.
Got some MCL Grand activities, a couple of live performances. Gateway Performing Arts is presenting Godspell July 3rd through the 5th, and also the 8th through the 12th. A total of 10 shows. Acting Studio is presenting Mary Poppins July 23rd through 26th in 6 different shows. As far as public events, Sounds of Louisville Tuesday night concerts continue, Tuesday evening concerts continue in July, and you can go online and see the lineup for those events. If you haven't gone, it's a lot of fun. Bring a lawn chair, bring the family, bring the dog, as long as he doesn't bite. Visual Arts League continues its Friday night jam sessions. We've also got a special event on Thursday the 30th, a poetry open mic event at the MCL Grand. And the Visual Arts League is also presenting a special songwriter challenge. So they do this every once in a while with their acoustic jams. This is the Eric Smith Songwriting Challenge, and it's on Friday, July 31st. Then in the Art Gallery, we've got Fresh Ideas, which is an annual event that the Visual Arts League does, and that'll be there until August the 8th. And then in the North Gallery along the hallway, North Quarter Gallery, America the Beautiful, and that'll also be there through August the 8th. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilman and Mayor Pro Tem Ferguson. Councilman Vaughn?
Nothing, Mayor.
Okay. City Attorney? Officer, thanks for being here tonight. We appreciate it. Okay, and next item is closed session in accordance with Texas Government Code, Subchapter D, Item 1, Section 551.071, consultation with attorney relating to the construction of Old Town Park Plaza. 2, Section 551.071, consultation with attorney pending litigation. City of Louisville versus the City of Farmers Branch and Camelot Landfill. Cause number 412 CV-00782, U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Texas, Sherman Division. TCEQ modification to municipal solid waste permit number 3312A and Texas TCEQ application to obtain municipal solid waste permit amendment permit number 1312B. Item 3, Section 551.072, real estate property acquisition. Item 4, Section 551.087, economic development, deliberations regarding economic development negotiations. We are now in closed session. We'll reconvene the city council into open session. Is there any action to be taken?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion to adjourn by Councilman Ferguson, a second by Councilman Gilmore. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We're adjourned.
Thank you, Carol.
Good night.